I'm gonna ask you something, and I want you to be straight with me, I said, pressing the phone hard against my ear, pacing circles in my garage while sawdust stuck to the sweat on my forearms. Was there a family reunion last weekend? Caleb's pause told me everything. A full 3 seconds of dead air before he finally said, "What?" It was just something small. Last-minute thing. Nothing formal. 30 people isn't small. You saw the pictures? I saw the shirts too. Porter Family Reunion 2024. Must have been a hell of a last-minute t-shirt order. Another pause. Then he went for the lie. We figured you were busy. You've been kinda off the grid lately. Off the grid? I was at Mom's house twice this month, cutting her grass because your back was acting up. I've been off the grid? He didn't have a comeback for that. Okay, I said. Just wanted to hear you say it out loud. And I hung up. That call happened in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, out in my garage, in 90-degree heat, with saws and scrap wood all around me because I'd just started building a porch swing for my mother. She liked to sit outside and watch the birds, and I wanted to surprise her with something nicer than that plastic chair Caleb left out there last year. So I was doing what I always do, fixing things, quietly, with no one watching, and I took a water break, checked my phone, and that's when I saw it. Tara's Facebook post. That photo. All of them at Lake Meriwether, smiling with their matching shirts and solo cups and wide grins, like they'd just wrapped filming a car commercial for genetic superiority. And I wasn't there. Not in the background. Not off to the side. Not even mentioned in the comments. I'd driven Uncle Rick to dialysis 4 times in January because his kids were too busy. I helped Caleb get his garage rewired after he shorted out his breaker box trying to install a second fridge. I spent Thanksgiving alone last year because Mom asked me to check on her boiler, and no one told me the rest of them were doing dinner at Dee Dee's instead. And now they were all at a lake, drinking beers and playing cornhole, like I'd died 5 years ago, and they'd finally gotten around to celebrating. After I got off the phone with Caleb, I didn't throw anything. I didn't curse or punch a wall. I walked back inside, washed the sawdust off my hands, and made myself a sandwich. Cold turkey, no mustard. I sat in silence at my kitchen table and stared out the window at nothing in particular. An hour later, I texted April, my niece. Saw the reunion photos. Hope it was a good time. Wasn't sure if I missed an invite. She replied with, "Oh, it was just a casual cousin thing. We didn't really do formal invites. It kinda just happened." I wanted to ask if that was why there was a printed banner and embroidered towels with the family crest on them, but I didn't bother. I didn't want them to know I cared. Instead, I called Mom. They all looked like they had fun, I said gently, not wanting to make her feel guilty. "Oh, honey, I thought you were busy," she said, her voice full of that soft confusion that's been slipping in more and more lately. "Caleb told me you probably wouldn't want to come. Something about you not liking crowds anymore." I never said that. Well, I figured he knew. He didn't, but he said it anyway. After we hung up, I sat there a while longer. Something about that call landed deeper than the others. Because I realized right then, it wasn't just that they left me out. They rewrote the story for me. They made it sound like I'd distanced myself, like I didn't care, like I'd chosen to disappear. And the scary part? People were buying it. For the next few days, I said nothing. Didn't bring it up at work, didn't mention it to friends, didn't try to clear the air. That's the thing about being left out. When it's done skillfully, no one notices. It just looks like you drifted away. So I let them believe that. But I didn't forget. I started going through old text chains, photos, shared calendars. I looked at who organized what, who paid for the lake house, who designed the shirts. I started noticing patterns, who forwarded emails, who used what tone when talking about the group, and who didn't correct it when I got cut out of the loop. I wasn't angry, just curious. Curious enough to start paying attention. Because there's something interesting about people who think they've already gotten away with something. They get comfortable. They stop checking behind them. And that's usually when the ground shifts. "You didn't miss the email?" April's voice came through the speaker with that fake nice tone she used when she was lying. "I swear I thought you were on the list." It was the first week of July, the air thick with heat, and I was standing outside a coffee shop, holding the phone in one hand and a receipt for a black iced coffee in the other. I watched a group of teenagers pile into a truck with towels and coolers, probably heading to the same lake the family used for the reunion. "I didn't miss anything," I said. "There was no email." "Well, maybe check your spam folder? You know how these group messages get." I said nothing. Just sipped the coffee and stared through the glass at my own reflection, steady and unreadable. She kept going. Anyway, we're doing a Friendsgiving this year instead of Christmas. More casual. You're totally welcome to come. I'll think about it, I said, then ended the call before she could lay on another scoop of guilt with a smile on top. It wasn't that I was angry, not yet. It was something colder than that. Anger you can burn through. What I felt now was the slow, dense pressure of knowing people were lying to your face and pretending they weren't. After that call, I stopped pretending I didn't care. I didn't announce it. I didn't post anything. I just changed how I listened. I watched what they said out loud and compared it to what I knew in private. It didn't take long to see the cracks. That same week, Caleb posted a long-winded reflection on LinkedIn about how strong families build strong communities after getting featured in some mid-tier business magazine for a grant he'd apparently won under the family name, Porter Legacy Initiative. I clicked through the article. He talked about our grandfather, the sacrifices he made, how the Porter lineage has always stood for resilience, humility, and contribution. He didn't mention me once. But I'd been the one who digitized Granddad's journals 5 years ago when the pages were too fragile to handle. I'd scanned, transcribed, and indexed every damn entry. That quote Caleb used in the article, "You earn your name in what you give, not what you take." That was something Granddad wrote in a letter to me. I didn't say anything, but I screenshotted the article. Later that month, I found the old family reunion t-shirt in the back of my closet, the one from 2017, the last time we all got together before things started quietly shifting. I held it for a moment, thinking about how many cookouts I'd cleaned up after, how many folding chairs I'd set up, how many calls I'd taken from family who never checked in unless they needed something. Then I folded the shirt into quarters, took it out back, and dropped it into the fire pit. I didn't light it right away. I just let it sit there for now, like a bookmark. The funny thing was, people started reaching out again. Not a lot, not sincerely, but just enough to keep up the optics. Tara tagged me in an old photo of a childhood birthday party. Throwback. Miss these days. No caption asking how I was doing. Just a visual PR stunt to make it look like things were good between us. Caleb texted to say we should catch up sometime, followed by a fishing meme like we were still teenagers. But then came the voicemail from April. No cheery emoji this time. No soft tone. "Uncle Nate, I'm just going to say it. This distance is getting weird. You don't have to hold a grudge over one weekend. Everyone missed you. You're making it awkward now. Just come to Friendsgiving, okay?" It'd mean a lot to Mom. And to me. She almost pulled me with that last line. Almost. I played the message twice. Then I archived it. See, something had shifted, and I knew they could feel it too. The silence wasn't passive anymore. It was deliberate. And when people start realizing they're not being forgiven, they panic. They start trying to get ahead of whatever they think is coming. I'd already started keeping a notebook. Not a diary. A ledger. Names. Dates. Things they said in public versus things they did in private. Like how Caleb accepted that grant for Porter family preservation, but didn't invite Mom to the ceremony. Claimed she wouldn't have understood what was going on. She's 82. Still sharp enough to balance her checkbook in ink. But they wanted her invisible, too. I didn't confront him. I just wrote it down. And then, in September, I saw something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Tara had posted a flyer for a Porter Family Foundation scholarship, a glossy little PDF with April listed as the communications director. There was a bio that called her a third-generation community leader. They were building something bigger now. Not just a reunion. Not just a photo op. They were shaping a brand. One that used the family name. One they were already trying to secure with donors, applications, events, and press. No mention of me. Not in the board. Not in the advisory circle. Not even as a legacy mention. But here's what they didn't know. When our grandfather filed the original family trust in 1973, he listed all descendants equally. And when I inherited his handwritten ledgers, quietly, without fanfare, it came with a notarized copy of that trust, including language about the use of the family name in any public or commercial context. Language they had definitely never read. That's when I smiled. Not big, just enough to feel it. Because now I wasn't just on the outside looking in. I was beneath them, holding the foundation they were standing on. And they didn't even know I was there. So I kept walking, kept quiet, kept my head down. And they kept building. I saw the first crack before they did. That flyer, over-designed and underproofed, went out with the wrong date. A small mistake, but small mistakes become big ones when you're pretending to be something you're not. It was a Thursday afternoon when I spotted it. April had posted the announcement for the Porter Family Foundation's official launch gala, all smiles and self-importance, an evening to honor our heritage and build the future. She'd linked to the flyer, a fancy PDF with gold lettering, inspirational quotes, and a giant photo of Caleb in a blazer like he was running for office. But right under the date, Saturday, October 12th. Thing is, October 12th was a Sunday. I double-checked the calendar. Triple-checked. Then I smiled. Because I knew how April worked. She scheduled everything 2 weeks out and had definitely sent that flyer to sponsors, the Chamber of Commerce, maybe even the local press. And no one on that family advisory board was going to correct her. They were too busy enjoying their new positions to notice the ship already had a leak. I didn't jump in. I didn't comment or call. I just took a screenshot. Then I emailed the PDF, anonymously, to the director of the chamber with a polite subject line. Incorrect event date? No threats. No signature. Just a little nudge. And that's when it started to tilt. I didn't see it all at once. I heard about it in pieces. The first clue was when April quietly replaced the flyer. No public correction, no apology, just a fresh version with a new date and a new venue, the community center. No more banquet hall. No valet. No champagne. Just fold-out chairs and maybe a Keurig in the back if they were lucky. I needed to see it for myself. The night of the event, I parked across the street around 6. The sky was already dark. The air had that sharp, early fall edge to it, and the windows of the community center glowed with yellow light. I stayed in my truck, windows down, sipping coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. At 6:20, guests began to arrive. Some were dressed to the nines, black dresses, pressed suits, confused expressions. One couple walked up the steps, looked inside, then turned around. I heard the woman say, "I thought this was black tie." The man checked his phone. It was black tie. Then they got back in their car and left. Through the front doors, I saw April near a folding table, fidgeting with name tags that didn't want to stick to the plastic cloth. Her smile was stuck wide open, too bright, like she was trying to will the event into elegance. Caleb stood nearby, wiping a spill off the cheap catering table with a cloth napkin and muttering to someone. I watched as one of the local business sponsors arrived, Mr. Jeffers, who ran the bank downtown. He looked around the room with the kind of polite panic people have when they realize they were overdressed for what's turning out to be a school talent show. He said something to April that made her smile stiffen, then walked straight back out the door. And then came the post. 20 minutes later, as I sat there, April uploaded a story to Instagram. A video of the banner being adjusted, with a shaky voiceover. Excited for tonight's celebration with the best family ever. But in the background, you could hear a guest say, "This is what the chamber was promoting? Feels like a bake sale." The video was gone within an hour. Deleted. I drove home without saying a word. The next morning, the event photos started rolling out. A few dim shots of cousins clumped together in front of a banner that looked half collapsed. One post from Caleb thanking everyone for believing in the vision. But no chamber logos. No press links. And the sponsor tags? All missing. That's when things got interesting. Vince, the landscaping supplier who'd been listed as one of the top sponsors, called me that Monday. "Hey," he said, casual but clipped. "Weird question. Someone asked me if I knew anything about the Porter Foundation. Said I might have gotten some advice from you." I kept my tone flat. I mentioned the family was doing something. Didn't say much more than that. Vince chuckled, but it was thin. "Yeah, well, just caught me off guard." Caleb seemed a little jumpy when I saw him Sunday. Asked if I'd talked to anyone outside the circle. Whatever that means. I thanked him for the heads up. Hung up. Wrote it down. Because now, they were getting nervous. And just to twist the knife a little, I forwarded the original flyer, wrong date and all, to one of the editors at the local Gazette, with a note. Thought you'd want the corrected version in case you were still running the piece. They hadn't run anything yet. In fact, no coverage ever appeared. By Wednesday, April's Facebook was unusually quiet. No selfies. No "we did it" posts. Just a single photo of the event with the caption, "Grateful to those who showed up despite some last-minute changes. Family is everything." And then came Tara's voicemail. "Hey Nate, I'm not sure what's going on. April's a mess. The launch didn't go how she planned. And Caleb, he's acting weird. He keeps saying you're behind something. that you've been making moves. I don't even know what that means, but if you are involved, could you just let it go? This whole thing's starting to fall apart. I saved the message. Not out of spite. Out of habit. Because once people start pointing fingers, things move fast. They don't realize they're confirming something until it's already too late. And that's the best part, when they start to doubt their own version of the story. April showed up on the local public access stream in mid-December. Just a 2-minute interview outside the community center, bundled up in a puffer coat. Her cheeks blotchy from wind or stress or both. I wouldn't have seen it if someone hadn't sent me the clip, but there she was, gripping her phone, trying to smile for the college kid behind the camera while explaining why the Porter Family Foundation fundraiser was being restructured due to unforeseen logistical challenges. Her voice cracked halfway through the word logistical. The video got 87 views. I watched it twice. I saw the way her eyes darted toward the parking lot like she was looking for someone to rescue her. I recognized that look. It was the same one Caleb gave me when he split his chin open at the lake as a kid and needed stitches, but didn't want anyone else to know he was bleeding. The Porters always cared more about being seen as composed than actually being okay. That was the first real flash of it. Not the public face slipping, but the private panic behind it. It was about a week later when I saw Caleb in the parking lot of the hardware store, sitting in his truck, engine off. He wasn't texting. He wasn't talking. He was just sitting there, staring at the dash, one hand clenching and unclenching the steering, while like he couldn't decide whether to start it up or slam it with his fist. I walked past him on my way inside. He saw me. I know he did. His eyes followed me, just a little too long. He didn't wave. Neither did I. They'd built something big and loud and pretty, and now they were watching it collapse in slow motion. But not because someone torched it, because they never checked the foundation. And worse, they didn't realize someone else had the blueprints. Tara messaged again. Just one line. You win. I didn't reply. What was there to say? Even then, I don't think she knew how much further it could go. Because all of that, the flopped fundraiser, the sponsor walkout, the silent social media, the shaky interviews, that was the part they could see. What they didn't see was the paper trail. I'd been holding onto it since summer. My grandfather's original trust, scanned and printed with a legal note in the margins, his own handwriting, about the use of the family name in business and philanthropic activity. Every public action under the Porter name required full advisory board approval from all living first-line descendants. And right now, I was the only one who'd ever served on that board. Their foundation had never asked for approval. Not once. All it would take was one notarized letter and the IRS would be required to review their 990 filings for compliance. That alone could freeze the entire operation, pending a formal audit. It wouldn't matter that they were already scaling down. It wouldn't matter that April had stopped posting or that Caleb had taken founder off his LinkedIn bio. Once that letter landed, everything would be official, on record, in motion, irreversible. And I hadn't even sent it yet. But someone was starting to suspect something. I got a voicemail one morning from a number I didn't recognize. The voice was clipped. Male. No name. You should know you're being talked about. If you're behind any of this, walk away while you can. I saved that too. Empty threat? Probably. But it meant they were finally catching on that this wasn't just bad luck. This was a pattern. One they hadn't planned for. So I waited. Again. Because that was the difference between me and them. They were always rushing to be seen, to be known, to be clapped for. I was fine being forgotten. They'd turned the family name into a product. I just reminded them who still owned the rights. All this, and I still hadn't mailed the letter. The one with my signature. The one that would make it real. The letter landed harder than I expected. By March, the Porter Family Foundation wasn't just on pause. It was over. The IRS review notice went straight to their P.O. box, signed for by April herself. Within a week, their website vanished. Within 2, their Chamber of Commerce partnership was scrubbed. By the end of the month, sponsors weren't just gone, they were publicly distancing. Rod's Plumbing posted a note on Facebook. We were proud to support local projects, but we value transparency above all. We look forward to new opportunities with other organizations. It was the kind of phrasing you only use when you're quietly saying, we don't trust them anymore. But the real payoff came face to face. It was a Saturday at Mom's house. I was replacing the furnace filter when Caleb walked in, holding a casserole dish he probably hadn't cooked. He set it down without looking at me, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. He sat in the chair across from me like he was waiting for a firing squad. Mom, sweet and oblivious, asked her usual. How's the foundation, Caleb? Did the paper ever do a story? His jaw flexed. He stared at his hands for a moment too long. Then he glanced at me. Not at her. At me. It didn't work out, he said finally, voice low, brittle. Too many complications. I didn't smile. Didn't blink. Just stood there, the filter in my hand, letting the silence choke the air between us. That silence was heavier than any shout could have been. He looked away first. Later, as I packed up my tools, Tara's message buzzed on my phone. Just 2 words. You win. I didn't bother replying. What was there to say? Before I left, I slipped into the den where Mom kept the old albums. The trust documents were in a fireproof box beside them, the ones my grandfather had signed, the ones that made me the only advisory voice with legal weight. I put the envelope back inside, shut the lid, and laid the key right on top. They'd see it one day. They'd know it was there all along. On my way out, I heard Caleb's voice from the kitchen, low and bitter, but clear enough. He was always the one who held us together. That was the twist of the knife. Not me saying it. Him admitting it. The revenge wasn't in burning them down. It was in making them choke on the truth they'd tried to erase, that I wasn't just part of the family. I'd been the one holding the whole thing upright. And when they cut me out, the collapse was inevitable. The best revenge isn't shouting. It isn't fire. It's letting them realize you could have destroyed them sooner, and chose to wait, because silence lasts longer than flames, and mine will follow them for the rest of their lives.